Story 1. So this happened during my vacation in Spain last week, and I'm still fuming about the audacity of some people. I'm staying at this resort, and every morning there's the usual scramble for the good beach chairs by the pool. Fair enough, first come first served, right? Wrong according to this one German tourist probably in his 60s. This dude had the brilliant idea of putting his towel on the best chair right by the pool at like 6 a.m. then disappeared for literally 8 hours. I watched this chair sit empty with just his crusty towel on it from morning until mid-afternoon while families with kids were standing around looking for places to sit. Around 2 p.m. I'd had enough. My girlfriend and I had been sitting on these uncomfortable plastic chairs all day watching this prime real estate go unused. So I moved his towel to the side table and we took the chairs. Cue this entitled boomer showing up around 3 p.m., red as a lobster, ironic, absolutely losing his mind that someone dared touch his precious towel. He starts yelling at me in broken English about how he reserved the chair and I had no right to move his things. I told him straight up, "Dude, you can't just dump a towel somewhere at dawn and disappear for 8 hours. That's not how this works. There are families who actually wanted to use these chairs." He gets even more pissed and starts going off about how this is how we do it in Germany, and I'm being very rude to a guest. At this point, I'm done being polite. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Well, you're not in Germany anymore, and your towel isn't a fucking reservation system. Find another chair or talk to hotel management if you have a problem." His face went from sunburn red to purple, and he stomped off muttering in German. He came back 10 minutes later with a hotel staff member who very politely explained to him that chairs can't be reserved for extended periods and guests need to actually be using them. The look on his face when the staff sided with me was priceless. He spent the rest of the day shooting dirty looks at us from across the pool. Some people really think the world revolves around them. Like, sorry Klaus, your towel isn't a magic force field that holds beach chairs hostage all day. Story 2. Hey there. I decided to share a story from when I actually worked at my dad's restaurant. Just a quick recap. My dad owns a restaurant in China that also has a bakery. I am trying to keep everything as vague as possible because of privacy reasons. This event took place last summer. I was actually hired by my dad to help the 2 ladies in the bakery, and yes, I was getting paid too, which was exciting. For the sake of the story, we are going to call them Susan and Lindsay. Now, this bakery isn't like most others because this one focuses on cakes and other desserts. People could throw parties at the restaurant and choose a package deal that came with a cake. These events could be birthdays, graduations, reunions, or anniversaries. Parents could also drop their kids off to learn how to make cookies or cakes, which made it a fun and unique place. One day, I was in the bakery with the air conditioner on, just relaxing and minding my own business. It is so hot in China, especially in the summer, when a woman walked up to the bakery wearing all black. I couldn't help but wonder how she managed in that outfit when it was around 40 degrees outside. For now, we are going to call her Karen, like in the previous story. Quick note, Susan was off buying more cream at the nearby market, and I had no idea where Lindsay went at the time. Karen, without even looking at me, said, "I want a triple layer cake by 6 o'clock tonight, and I want to drop off my daughter for a lesson. She can help make the cake." Then she looked at me and did a double take, probably because I looked too young to be working there. I also want to make clear that she did not choose the celebration package deal, because if she had, the manager would have told me in advance. People usually order those several days ahead of time. Great ma'am, that should be around 450 yuan in total. Because she was a customer of the restaurant, she had been drinking tea with a large group of people, she received a discount for the cake and lessons. You must be kidding. I know it doesn't cost that much. I am a paying customer. You probably don't even work here, you look like you are still in high school. Yes ma'am, I do work here. And because you are a customer, you are actually getting a discount. This is the lowest price we can offer. I know the owner, and he said to give me a lower price. At that moment, the memories of the last time something like this happened hit me. I was frustrated, very frustrated, but I still put on my best customer service smile, hoping Susan would return soon. "Ma'am, you need some proof that the owner said to give you a discount, and he needs to tell me directly." "No, I don't need to. Who do you think you are? I do not trust you. You're probably here just to trick me." "Ma'am, please calm down." Karen looked at her phone and gasped dramatically. "The owner is on a business trip, and he said I can have a discount." I knew it was nonsense because my dad was actually upstairs on the 3rd floor playing mahjong. "Ma'am, can you please give me proof?" "No." "Then unfortunately, I can't do anything for you." Luckily, at that moment, Susan finally came back. "Hi, can I help you with anything?" she asked politely. "Yes, I want a triple-layer cake and my daughter to take a lesson today. But this child is pretending to work here and giving me an unreasonable price." "Ma'am, she does work here, and the total price is around 500 yuan, Susan replied. I didn't even correct her about the price because Karen had been so rude to me. "But she said it was 450 yuan, Karen snapped. "Oh, she must have gotten confused. It's actually 500 yuan, Susan said, giving me a smirk. Karen grumbled, but finally agreed to pay that amount. Her daughter came later, and she was just as unpleasant, but only towards me. She acted like she knew everything about baking, but didn't even know the basic ingredients that go into a cake. I honestly didn't blame her, because she was raised by a very unreasonable person. The number of people who pretend they know the owner always surprises me. Thank you. Have a nice day. Story 3. Cast. Entitled Mother Karen, Nice Kid, Medical Assistant Mom and Me. Backstory: I volunteer at my local Virginia Medical Center. I used to do it at first just to see what it was like. Now I enjoy it. I signed up for a clinical and administrative job for different days, and I enjoy both of them. Both of my parents work in the medical industry, one of them being on the front line of this pandemic. I went shopping so I don't go too insane from quarantine. Those who have badges from working in a hospital can invite more people, 2-person maximum, and even get a discount. Me, knowing that I volunteered at a hospital, decided to do an experiment. My parents and I came in with our badges and masks on, and we were all let in. Everything was normal. We were just shopping and talking about our garden. My mom and I were asked to get frozen fruit because I like to mix fruit in with my protein shakes until the gates of hell have opened. Right when I turned around with my frozen strawberries, maskless Karen stopped me right in my tracks and eyes my volunteer badge. Her, shouldn't you be at home? Me, why are you asking me this? You're a volunteer, you shouldn't be out here. Neither should you, you're not wearing a mask. Nonetheless, following the social distancing rule. At least I have a paying job. That's when it hit me. Me, are you saying that I shouldn't be here because I'm not getting paid for what I do? Exactly. You are exploiting the benefits of working in a hospital. Let the real workers have their benefits. I don't need a paycheck for working in a hospital, it's something I enjoy doing. That'll change soon. My medical assistant mom turns around seeing a strange woman in my face, so she approaches us, hoping to dissolve the quarrel. I can sense the mama bear in her already. Mom, I'm sorry, but what is going on? Karen? Finally, actual medical personnel, can you tell this poser to get out of here? Well, hopes of dissolving it peacefully have gone out the window. Excuse me, you cannot tell my daughter that? She can count as medical personnel as she also works with patients. Does she even come in contact with patients with corona? I'm thinking to myself, playing the corona card. Me, out loud, the volunteering season is closed until the pandemic dies down. See? She is a deadbeat. What kind of parent are you? Letting your kid be entitled? You ought to scold her. Coming from a Karen. My mom and Karen's kid laughed. She gets in my face and yells at me. I don't know who you are, but you better not disrespect your adults. If you love your mother so much, Then take that badge off and get out of here. She leaves, but her kid stays behind. Her nice kid. Hey man, sorry about that. My mom is just scared because of this pandemic. She saw you with your moms and she got angry and wanted to check to see if you should be here or not. Personally, I like that you volunteer at a hospital. Me, thanks. You should try volunteering at the Virginia when the season opens. Maybe I will, sometime. The nice kid leaves to go catch up with her mom. After that, my medical assistant mom and I return to the cart with the frozen berries. I have met Karens before, but that's because they hate me for having colored hair, liking anime, or listening to metal. Never have I ever had an encounter as bad as this. Disclaimer: I am constantly being accused of exploiting a system. First off, if I did, then I would have known from someone who works there. Secondly, I didn't get a discount due to being a minor. Lastly, the people in my group were just myself and my parents. So before you angrily tell me that I was exploiting a system, I wasn't. Please, don't be that person. Story 4. First, a little backstory. I'm of mixed ethnicity. Over the course of my 29 years on this planet, I've been mistaken for several different races, but I am actually Caucasian and African American. Usually, people can figure it out, but in my case, my father is the Caucasian parent, so my hair is straight. I'm originally from Texas, and most people there confuse me for being Mexican. Now I live in Massachusetts, and I've never really had an issue with anyone regarding my race until this day. I'm married to a Caucasian woman who had a child before we were married. His biological father is not very involved in his life, and I stepped up because I love my wife and I love this little boy as if he were my own. He is 4 years old now, and I've been in his life since he was just 1. Anyway, on to the story. My wife needed a few things from the grocery store and also had a few other errands to run. Normally, she takes care of it herself because I work nights and am usually asleep during the day. But on this particular day, I happened to be awake and offered to go for her. She works very hard and does so much for us, so I wanted her to have a chance to relax. I took my son with me so she could rest, and so that I could spend some bonding time with him. We finished all the errands smoothly, and then headed to the grocery store to wrap up the day. My son, being a typical 4-year-old, was full of energy, running ahead of me, laughing, and talking to everyone he came across. I usually don't mind as long as he doesn't bump into anyone and stays within my sight. As I was making my way down an aisle looking for canned corn, my son jogged to the other end, where an older lady was coming in. Being the sweet, outgoing child that he is, he cheerfully said, "Hi, me 4, and me Ryan, bless his little heart." The lady looked down at him and replied, "Well, hello there. You shouldn't be running around unattended. Let's go find your parents." I didn't think much of her comment because I assumed she just hadn't seen me yet. I called out, "Ryan, come back here, bud, please." He excitedly ran back toward me and started twirling in circles, just being a 4-year-old. I kept searching the shelves when the lady walked past me and then stopped behind me. I still didn't think anything of it since grocery store aisles are shared. I turned my basket around and started heading toward the registers when the lady suddenly blocked my path. I said, "Excuse me," and tried to walk around her, but she moved her cart in front of me again. I thought maybe she was confused, so I said, "Excuse me," once more and tried again, but she blocked me once more. The following conversation took place. Me, sorry about that, we'll get out of your way. Lady, "Oh, I don't think so. You're not going anywhere with that child." Me, "You mean my son." Lady, "That's not your child. He's white, and you're Mexican. You probably didn't even know his name until he told me." Me, "Sure, whatever. Lady, can you just move? My wife is at home and waiting for us." Lady, "Stop your lies. You're not taking him anywhere, you creep." This whole time, my son was holding on to my leg, clearly frightened. I was getting frustrated, especially since I hadn't had much sleep, and I naturally have a short fuse. Me, "As you can see, he's standing close to me because he trusts me, and you're scaring him. So how about you back off?" "Lady, no, he's scared because of you. He just doesn't know how to express it yet." She then bent down, looked at my son, and said, "Lady, come on now, sweetie. I'm here to rescue you. Come with me." Thankfully, my son was able to tell her he wasn't going anywhere with her, but she was having none of it. Suddenly, she grabbed my son and began running. It completely caught me off guard because I honestly could not process what was happening in that moment. My son began screaming loudly because he was terrified, while this woman kept saying, "Don't worry, sweetie, he won't hurt you, I promise." That snapped me back into reality. I started running after her, yelling for help, and shouting that she was kidnapping my son. Thankfully, a store employee was quick to react and stopped her before she could make it out the exit. "Lady, why are you stopping me? This Mexican here is trying to kidnap my grandson." My son was crying uncontrollably and reaching his arms out toward me, calling for me. The woman was relentless and refused to let him go even after my son slapped at her face multiple times in panic. I'll admit, I chuckled for a second at that, but mostly I was furious. At that point, a manager showed up and asked what was happening. The woman immediately jumped in before I could speak. "Lady, this creep here is trying to kidnap my grandson, and I was just trying to escape." "Me. That's my son, you unhinged woman. Now let him go." The manager looked uncertain, clearly caught in a bizarre situation. I quickly pulled out my phone and showed him pictures of me with my son from over a year ago as proof. But the woman still wouldn't give up. She accused me of faking the pictures, which didn't even make sense. To make matters worse, 2 other women nearby started siding with her. They insisted I was attempting to kidnap my own son, saying there was no way we were related because of our different skin tones. One of them even called the police. Honestly, I was fine with that because I knew the store's security cameras would prove what really happened. Still, I called my wife to come to the store so the whole situation could be cleared up faster. As soon as I explained what was happening, she rushed over immediately. She arrived at about the same time the police did. When we got to the front, the 3 women were busy giving their statements to the officers. The moment my wife walked in, my son cried out, "Mama, help." My wife being the protective mother, she immediately went into full mama bear mode. "Wife, let him go, now." "Lady, sorry, sweetie, I was just trying to protect him from this creep over here." Lady 2. "Yeah, we saw him trying to kidnap the child, but this lady saved him." The officer looked confused and asked, "Officer, I thought this was your grandson." My wife, glaring, replied, "Wife, I have no idea who this woman is." She then took out her phone and showed the officer a picture of my mother-in-law. The woman hesitated, then finally admitted, "Lady, okay, he's not my grandson, but I was only trying to protect him from this man." But the other 2 women doubled down. "Lady 2, I witnessed the whole thing. He snatched that child and tried to run away with him, but this lady stopped it." Lady 3, "Yes, I saw it too. He needs to be arrested. And you," she pointed at my wife, "should be thankful this lady saved your son, because clearly you just let him wander around anywhere." My wife looked at them in disbelief and asked, "Wife, who are you even talking about?" All 3 of them pointed straight at me. Wife, "Oh, you mean my husband." Lady 1, "Husband?" Wife, "Yes, my husband. Who do you think called me and got me here so quickly?" We both presented our identification to the officer and the manager. We also showed additional pictures on our phones proving that we were a family. The officer nodded in understanding and handed our IDs back, jotting down a few notes. Yet, unbelievably, the 3 women still insisted that everything was fake. They even claimed my wife was in on the kidnapping and said we should both be arrested. That was the final straw for my wife. She let out some strong words I won't repeat here, but she definitely made her feelings known. Then came the nail in the coffin for the trio of troublemakers. The officer turned to the store manager and asked, "Officer, sir, do the cameras here actually work?" Manager, "Yes, we have them inside and outside." Officer, "Great. Let's go review them." The three women's faces went pale, almost ghostly. The officer reviewed the outside footage and clearly saw me pulling into the parking lot, taking my son out of the car and walking with him through the aisles. Most importantly, the cameras showed the exact moment when the woman grabbed my son and tried to run. When the officer came back, he asked me directly, "Officer, would you like to press charges?" Before I could answer, Lady One blurted out, "Lady One, yes, I would." The officer looked at her and shut her down instantly. "Officer, why would I be asking you that question? Sit down and be quiet." He turned back to me. "Officer, would you like to press charges?" Me, absolutely. Lady One was charged with attempted kidnapping, false imprisonment, filing a false police report, and child endangerment. To make matters worse for her, my son bruises easily, and she had left visible marks on him from where she was clutching him. Thankfully, he's fine now, but those marks added another charge of child abuse to her record. The other two women were also charged with filing false police reports. I have a court date later this year, but the exact timing is still uncertain because of delays caused by the pandemic. The officer told me he would be following up in a few weeks. Sorry for the length, but that's the whole ordeal. Edit 1. Wow, I wasn't expecting this story to get so much attention. Edit 2. Thank you to the kind strangers who sent support and awards, it really means a lot. Edit 3. To everyone who has commented positively, thank you. I tried to respond to as many as possible, but messages came in so fast I couldn't keep up. Still, I truly appreciate the support. Edit 4. If you left a negative comment, that's on you. But if you said anything cruel about my son, then you need to take a long look at yourself. I find it amazing how many so-called experts claim to know about my son when you've never even met him. I only posted this to vent and share what happened, not to prove anything to strangers online. Edit 5. Hi everyone, sorry I went quiet for a bit. I should have a real update soon. Apparently, the woman involved has connections to the local police through her family, so they've been trying to keep things quiet and drag the case out. But thankfully, we now have a court date set for October. Story 5. For context, I am a 19-year-old female. I have been with my boyfriend, a 19-year-old male, for a little over 1 year. We first met on an online dating application, as we both come from small towns. He has not shown one negative sign in this relationship. Yes, he occasionally uses recreational herbs and is dealing with his own home situation, but I do not see a problem in that. My mother, who is 44 years old, does not like my boyfriend simply because of his recreational use, the fact that we met online, and she calls him lazy. Ever since then, my mother has been restricting where I travel. She has placed tracking applications on my phone, as well as cameras around the house. She truly does not want me to see him that badly, so I have had to be discreet when meeting him during certain times of the day. In order to try to get us to break up, she has been creating lies and manipulating me. She stalks all of his social profiles to come up with stories, claiming he is not the age he says he is, even though he has shown me his identification card and his baby book. She has claimed he is cheating on me, even though he has experienced being cheated on in the past and absolutely despises cheaters. She even claims she knows someone who grew up with his family and that they think poorly of them. However, this is not even true because they did not grow up there. His family moved to that town when they were older. I love my mom, but I honestly felt that this was far too much. Everything came to a head on Easter night. I had gotten into a very heated argument with my mom, and she said she was cutting off communication with me. I was extremely hurt and stormed off to my room, crying while on the phone with my boyfriend. I told him how I did not want to lose my mother's love. He tried to cheer me up by suggesting we play video games together. Suddenly, my mom stormed into my room and ripped the phone out of my hand. My boyfriend thought I was being hurt and started yelling for them to stop. When my mom realized I had been on the phone with him, she called my dad into the room, and soon a screaming match broke out. It ended with me screaming at my boyfriend to hang up, which he did. My mom threatened to smash my phone and take away my keys, even though I pay for my own insurance and phone service. Thankfully, my boyfriend's mom gave me an extra phone to use. I honestly do not know what to do. I am in college and can barely afford to move out. My mom is also trying to gain guardianship over me because I have Turner syndrome, insisting that I cannot make decisions on my own. I have turned to online communities for advice because I feel so lost. Edit: I forgot to mention that one day I went to a hotel with my boyfriend, and my mom tracked me down. She turned off her own location so she could secretly drive there and see if I was with him. She even called in late to work to do this, and now she wants me to attend therapy. Edit #2 It has now been well over a year, almost 2. I am now 20 years old, and here is what has happened since. The good. I have moved out and now live with my fiancé. He has been amazing through everything we have gone through, and we have started the process of planning our wedding. I am no longer in college. I finally got away from that toxic household. I do not have to sneak around to see him anymore, which is such a relief. The bad. The night I officially moved out was a very difficult one. This was almost a month after the argument on Easter. I had already been planning to move out soon after that Easter argument, and I was in communication with one of my fiancé's friends, who happens to be gay. He needed a roommate, and I needed a way out, so it worked perfectly for both of us. We were genuinely excited about the arrangement. During the week I was supposed to move out, I slowly began packing and moving items into my car little by little, so my family would not become suspicious. The official day I planned to move out was that Friday. Normally, I play Dungeons & Dragons with a group of family friends on Fridays, but since I would be busy with moving, I asked if we could play earlier that week. We all agreed to meet on Tuesday instead. That Tuesday, after work, I was on my way to the game when I received a call from my youngest brother. When I picked up, he asked me where I was going. I told him I was going to my Dungeons & Dragons group, but in the background, my mom's voice could be heard saying harshly, "You only play on Fridays. You're going to see your boyfriend, you liar." I was completely taken aback by the fact that they were still stalking my location. Angrily, I asked, "Why are you watching my location like that?" And then I hung up the phone. I kept driving, now with even more motivation to move out, and I vented about the situation to my fiancé and his friend. As I stopped to pick up some food before reaching my destination, my mom called me again. I immediately felt a sense of dread as I answered the call. She began yelling at me about how I was being disrespectful to her. The conversation turned into an emotional argument, and she ended it by threatening to tamper with the brakes in my car, so I would not be able to drive. She then furiously hung up. I was shaken and overwhelmed, but unfortunately, I did not record the conversation. With her words pounding in my head, I frantically called my fiancé back, sobbing as I explained what had just happened. His friend overheard the situation and immediately offered for me to move in that night instead of waiting until Friday. I accepted his offer and went about the night as usual, though inside I felt sick with worry. When I finally got home, my stomach churned with nerves. I knew I had to tell my parents I was leaving that very night, and so I did. As expected, there was a lot of arguing and commotion, but I still left. To this day, my mom continues to try and convince me to come home, denying that she ever made that threat. As for my living situation, my former roommate eventually turned out not to be a good person in the long run. If anyone wants to hear about that story, I can share it too. It was not as extreme, but still quite an interesting experience. Story 6. It was close to Canadian Thanksgiving, and as per usual in the city I lived in at the time, the rain was pouring down heavily. We had experienced the usual pre-holiday rush of people looking to buy stuffing and side dishes earlier, But as the rain started and the sun set, the number of customers dwindled. By the time my shift was almost over, the store had been empty for almost an hour. Like in my last story, I was the only one at the front while my coworker stocked the freezers and broke down boxes. I had just finished doing the cleaning and temperature checking walkthrough and was wasting time at the register. I disliked going into the freezers and was about to cut my losses and actually do some work when a girl ran in from the rain. Immediately, I did a mental fist pump, because any excuse to keep me out of those dreaded freezers was a win for me. I hung around at the register while she browsed the single-serving meals. Now, I may have disliked that job, but those single meals saved my life the whole time I was employed there, so I considered myself a bit of an expert despite the fact that I only ate the same 3 meals over and over again. Eventually, the girl came to check out, and I made some light small talk with her while I rang her up. That was probably my favorite part of the job. I am autistic and can sometimes be a bit awkward, but I genuinely loved small talk with customers, just chatting and being pleasant. She seemed a little self-conscious, and I told her how much I ate those single-serve meals myself, even complimenting her choices. When I was done ringing her up, she asked if she could stay in the store while she waited for her bus instead of standing in the rain and cold. I told her, of course. We kept talking, chatting about the upcoming holiday and the break from school. She told me that she was not really looking forward to it. All of her friends were going home for the holiday, but her family was back in her home country, so she was going to be all alone in the dorms eating overpriced frozen meals. I could empathize in a way, with my family being across the country. Obviously not the same situation, but still relatable, and I said how I would probably be eating alone during Thanksgiving too. We talked about phone and video calls, and she said, "I love being able to talk to them, but it's not really the same. Sometimes I just want a hug, you know?" Now, while I loved customer service, I was generally a pretty awkward person. I tended to say things without even realizing I was thinking them. I was also a people pleaser and a bit of a fixer, which could cause issues. When a problem was presented, I usually tried to fix it or offer solutions instead of simply listening. So when she said that, I had about a split-second impulsive thought of, "Oh, I see the problem, I know how to fix that." And without even thinking, I blurted out, "Do you want a hug?" Immediate foot-in-mouth moment. For a little context here, at the time, I was pretty much the definition of a butch lesbian, appearance-wise. I feel like a lot of women in the LGBTQ+ community, or those who present in a more masculine way, will relate to the dissonance of interacting with other women platonically while secretly worrying it will be taken the wrong way. Many of us have gone through that awkward situation where friends distance themselves after we come out because they fear, "I don't want you to hit on me." That kind of reaction tends to taint casual interactions with other women going forward. I am still working through that sort of internalized fear, and at the time it was a lot worse than it is now, so you can imagine the panic I immediately went through. Despite it being a completely impulsive and platonic thought, my mind was racing. Oh my goodness, I just said something weird. This poor girl is pouring her heart out to me, and I just blurted that out, looking like this. She's going to think I'm hitting on her. I've just ruined this woman's day. Would you? The internal monologue stopped. She was looking at me cautiously, but not like she was thinking any of the things I had feared. I had been just about to backtrack and apologize, but instead, I just sort of nodded and said, "Yeah, of course." So I stepped out from behind the counter and gave her a proper hug. As silly as it may sound, I tried to put genuine feeling into it. I really wanted her to feel a little better. I didn't know if I would be able to improve the situation at all, but I was determined to try. Afterward, I went back behind the register, and she lingered at the counter. I was still quietly panicking, but everything seemed to be fine. After a few moments, she said that she had to go. Her bus was about to arrive, and if she missed it, she would have to wait 20 minutes for the next one. I told her to take care and wished her a happy Thanksgiving. Just at the door, she paused and turned around. We were both masked, but her eyes seemed to smile at me. "I hope I'll see you here again." And just like that, she was gone. I sometimes still cringe at myself and my awkwardness. And I sometimes still worry that this stranger thought I was some kind of odd or overly forward lesbian. But at the same time, thinking about that day makes me feel warm inside. We were just two strangers, both in a place we were unfamiliar with and both feeling alone on a day marketed around family togetherness, sharing a small but very human interaction. I hope she finished school and was able to find other people in her life who helped ease the homesickness. She seemed so genuine and kind-hearted, and I truly wish her the best. Even though I never saw her again.